We shall see.
Welcome. I'm Francesca Fiorentini.
And I'm Wajat Ali.
And this is America Unhinged, a place that is going to cover the chaos of the first 100 days of Trump's second administration. In other words, the second first 100 days. Waj, I think I'm confused. I'm lost already.
No, that made sense to me. What was worse for you, Francesca? The first 100 days of Trump's first administration or the last 100 days of his first administration?
I'm going to go with last, but only because I thought that we were all going to die from a global pandemic and that running out to grab bleach was the only solution.
That's okay. So I was actually going to say the first 100 days because there was a whole Muslim ban. I took him literally and seriously,
Yes.
and then Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller tried their best, and I was like, oh, well, will poor Muslims be deported? This is the same guy who said, I think Islam hates us. But now that you juxtapose it to the whole pandemic, I side with you. It was the last 100 days, but now we are in the first 2 days of his second administration. And do you feel any better, Francesca?
No, in fact, the first 2 days has felt like 100 days. So in a way, Waj, we've just started the show on Zateo, but I feel like our work is done.
Yeah, but our work is just beginning. And speaking about work, for those who are just meeting us for the first time, the lovely Francesca, I've known her for a few years. This is the first time we're officially working together, but we did audition, folks, and we're going to share some insider scoops. About 2.5 years ago, at the tail end of the pandemic that we survived because we did not put bleach in our veins or sunlight, we actually took vaccines. We were invited to New York for a new type of politically incorrect show. Two liberals versus two conservatives.
Rolling Stone was thinking about maybe they were going to actually like be kind of like punk about it or like rock and roll, I guess, more aptly. And the show went nowhere. But why was that again?
Well, because this is a true story. I talked to one of the producers, and she said, we're having a really hard time finding a Republican sparring partner for both of you. And I said, why? She goes, because the bar is low. And we're just looking for a Republican or a conservative, a MAGA type, who's good on TV and just at the very least adheres to two rules. We're like, what are the two rules? Number one, they agree that Biden won the 2020 election and they aren't a violent insurrectionist. I'm like, fair. I'm like, what's the other one? They aren't openly white supremacist. The bar is low.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that bar.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. They should have me on. There needs to be on these shows. There just needs to be that nuanced, potentially contradictory voice. Nobody just wants to hear people agree all the time, right? I don't know anything about him. She's definitely way more left than I ever have been, but we'll
today.
see.
But before, quickly, I think there are people who like don't know you and don't know me either. We know each other, but like, Waj, tell me about yourself. Where do you come from? What's your thing? What do you do now other than this right here?
I am a exhausted father of 3 children. I now drive a Honda Odyssey minivan. I'm 44 years old, and I have one foot in the grave because I actually shop at Costco. I actually now wear clothes at Costco, and I'm very proud of it.
You're a Kirkland brand dad. I meant more like what are your credits, what are your accolades,
No,
but
no,
like being a Kirkland dad is nothing to sneeze at.
not just Kirkland dad, and let me flex for a moment, please. I'm humble, but as a child of immigrants, I'm trying to flex in and lean in with this chutzpah as a white man, as they think. I'm trying to like just lean in and flex a little bit. I have a black Costco executive club card, Francesca. I know. Thank you.
All right, let's.
There's a new president, Donald Trump. Who, the old is the new again, and it wasn't just billionaires bending the knee yesterday, Francesca. It wasn't just Republicans. It wasn't just MAGA.
Yep.
How about you? But I was really disappointed to see Democrats normalize a convicted criminal, a twice impeached Bulgarian who was held liable for sexual assault, defamation, and fraud. And here's a clip. And let me know if you can make out what Joe Biden says to the man who incited a violent insurrection 4 years ago at the Capitol.
You know,
He said, welcome home.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. I don't like Donald Trump at all. I think he's a terrible, and I think the people who support him can be either misguided or potentially malicious. However, at this point in the game, what do we gain out of insulting him? What do we gain calling him Hitler? What do we gain calling him evil? As of right now, the only thing we can do is see how everything plays out. And the only thing we can do is judge his current actions based off his past actions. That is, right now, the only course of action that is in our ability to make a difference in this current political landscape. Because trust me, I understand not wanting to engage with Donald Trump. I understand demonizing him. But that doesn't do anything anymore. Now we have to engage. Now we have to suck it up. Now we have to be willing to and change the conversation. So I'm focusing on things he does. I'm focusing on potential inconsistencies. I'm focusing on hypocrisy. Because call him all the stuff that we already know he is, it means nothing to MAGA. They don't care. So I get it. But like, what do you expect Joe Biden to do there? I don't know. I don't know what the game plan in y'all opinion would be. Just completely ignore him?
I think we are in a time where so many people, including the now former President Joe Biden, want to normalize what is happening, as if this is not a man who promised to be a dictator on day one, and as we will talk about, is largely successful in doing so. But the fact that this is a guy who Joe Biden was saying was a threat to democracy, that all Democrats were saying we must do everything in our power to prevent him from winning back the White House, and then the answer is welcome home. I mean, I think that the coup has been complete is the thing that's been running through my head. If Jan 6 was the beginning of the coup, January 20th was certainly the finale of it, and sadly, I think we're going to see a lot more. But I don't know. I wish I could blame it on Biden being just old, let's be honest, but you can't. This is far too much leaning into a far right that quite frankly does not care and does not want to work with Democrats at all.
It's one of this, and if you saw also before he said welcome home, he also rode in the motorcade with them and he joked around with them, and there were other Democratic leaders there. Why? Because civility, Francesca.
Yes.
Because of custom, because of decorum, because of tradition. I don't know if you saw that video with Marjorie Taylor Greene on right wing media today, where she was saying Democrats want to kill us, they want to shoot us, and then Chuck Schumer was like, but bipartisanship. And so the question I have for you is, what good is civility and decorum and adherence to traditions of institutions that now act as oppressors of the majority?
I mean, it really does feel like we're just out here protecting a bunch of octogenarians' legacies. Like, I'm sorry, but it does feel just like, well, my individual legacy is that, I presided over the peaceful transfer of power. And obviously, I don't believe in not having a peaceful transfer of power, but to relish in that or to uphold normalcy for the sake of it when everything that is happening is fun. I mean, there is now the idea to denaturalize American citizens and to revoke birthright citizenship. We're not in normal times. And speaking of not normal, Waj, we were, I think, hours into Trump's second presidency on the first 24 hours. And there was an immediate rally following the inaugural speech. It was meant to include more people who were not able to be outside because it was, unseasonably or very seasonably cold. And of course, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, who bankrolled Trump's campaign to the tune of $200 million or more.
$250 million.
Thank you. Do not ever do Dr. Evil at me again. This is a no Dr. Evil zone. But yes.
Can I rub my cat? Can I at least rub my cat that I have?
Always. I accept. I'm a big time cat lady. Shout out to all the cat ladies out there. And Elon Musk was so overcome with excitement that he did a gesture that could truly, will only be interpreted as a Nazi salute.
Well, I don't care. I'll be honest.
Not only did Donald Trump come home, tell us about all the other lovely, lovely pro-American, totally not treasonous, traitorous, or seditionist folks that came home.
Yeah. Yes. In the last 24 hours, Donald Trump has pardoned over 1,500 rioters who were in prison, serving sentences for their actions on January 6th, where they stormed the Capitol. Many of them assaulted police officers. And of course, many of them were holding Confederate flags, wearing Holocaust denial T-shirts. That guy, by the way, was also pardoned. And so I want to take you through a few of the people the insurrectionists who were pardoned. These are the people who back out on the streets, guys. Andrew Tate pepper sprayed police officers and hit one of the police officers with a metal pipe. He's 35 years old. He was sentenced to 74 months in prison, 36 months of supervised release, ordered to pay $2,000 in restitution. He pled guilty to one count of assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers using a dangerous weapon, a felony on December 20th, 2023. Again, he was armed with bear spray and a metal whip. And he was, of course, at the Stop the Steal rally, / was a tourist, / was Antifa, whatever, I don't know, one of those things. But there's more. Robert Palmer, let's take a look at him. He pepper sprayed police officers. He attacked a police officer with a fire extinguisher. He was standing near an archway leading from the Lower West Terrace to the interior of the U.S. Capitol while their defendant threw a wooden plank at a U.S. Capitol police officer and Metropolitan Police Department officers protecting the Lower West Terrace entrance. He also was at the front lines of rioters confronting officers located within the LWT archway. The defendant sprayed the contents of a fire extinguisher at the officers until it was empty.
Yeah, to make it seem like these guys are completely rational and okay. And from the vibe, it definitely is going to be 100% a left wing. Honestly, it might just be the equivalent of a right wing podcast just for the left, which at this point, do I care? Not really. I think this is needed. If you're a Democrat, you need a podcast like this because there's no consistency anymore. Ultimately, yeah, it's kind of it's kind of wild to me how it's basically okay. People are okaying these type of people back.
Then
on
he threw the fire
streets.
extinguisher at the officers. So
Pardons are very corrupt, bro.
yes, super. I mean,
pardons have
sometimes
the
you don't
ability
like,
to be
like,
super corrupt.
the
I don't
tour,
know
the
how
tape,
they've
and
always
you just want your money back.
existed.
But like, is there a way to say it? William Lewis was also pardoned. He deployed what appeared to be a wasp and hornet spray at law enforcement officers on the West Plaza, which, good God, I don't think I knew about this guy. Hornet spray.
It's terrible. I mean, never ever get that in your face or your eyes. I mean, it's just torturous.
So this is
And
in
there's also people
addition.
with bear spray, in addition to people who took metal bars from the barricade, in addition to people who used the flagpole, the U.S. flagpole as a weapon. You know, Francesca, if I may for a moment, these folks, because we live in the United States of Amnesia, folks. Donald Trump incited a violent insurrection.
Yep.
He worked hand in hand with Republicans. There was, in the Willard Hotel in D.C., that's where the Nerve Center was. We know that Ginny Thomas, the wife of Clarence Thomas, sent a text promoting some of these conspiracy theories to Mark Meadows.
Yep.
All these people showed up. Some of them showed up with weapons, as Francesca just said. They attacked police officers who were injured. Some of them later killed themselves due to the trauma. They entered in the Capitol. They smeared shit on in the Capitol. Some of them came to try. Oh, poo-poo. Sorry, poo-poo for the kids watching. And some of them tried to assassinate. Thank God they failed. Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence. Mike Pence, the most white, Christian, conservative, Republican man on earth, who was a willing doormat for Donald Trump. But at the last second, thanks to Dan Quayle, remember that name, kiddos, Dan Quayle, Vice President, Potato. Dan Quayle told him, do your job. Your job is to certify the election in which Donald Trump lost. He did that
Good
one
old
thing,
Dan.
Francesca, and they threw him under the bus. These people now are coming home. And Francesca, you and I go on right-wing media because we're masochists. We're told that Republicans are the party of law and order. Can they say that with a straight face now?
Absolutely not. And Trump was called on this earlier today. And he, the fact that it's good we're asking questions about why they're pardoning these violent insurrectionists. But he immediately pivoted and blamed, of course, all the other criminals. Okay, yeah, but these are like my criminals. Okay, those are like their criminals. My criminals aren't really criminals. They're cool because they're doing crimes on behalf of me, and I'm the top dog. I mean, it is sickening. And you gotta wonder about Republicans who, again, for a party that really loves to talk about being alpha males, have become all betas, willing to put their neck in a noose if it means that Donald Trump, will love them, or right up until the point where the mob comes for them, they're pro mob. This is the leopards eating face party, and they're all just playing Russian roulette, or however many more metaphors I can squeeze into this, and hoping that it's not them next. But who knows what he's going to ask them to do? And again, you've got people like Pete Hegseth, with even more allegations coming out about him now about, being physically violent with his ex-wife. Like, it's just.
Yeah, apparently for Pete Hegseth, his wife or the sister-in-law of his ex-wife said that he was abusive.
It's I guess the lesson is in the second 100 days, Waj, get worse people appointed.
Some of our comments, Katrina says, but he was only going to pardon the nonviolent protesters. JD assured us, you are on point, Katrina. I feel like you are like our editor here because you have a fantastic memory. I want to play this clip.
January 6th pardons, President Trump says there's a process. Where is the line drawn on who will and wouldn't be considered for a pardon?
I think it's very simple. Look, if you protested peacefully on January the 6th and you've had Merrick Garland's Department of Justice treat you like a gang member, you should be pardoned. If you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned.
Did you hear anything from
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to make a clip out of that one too. Yeah. The inconsistency is glaring. The lies are here. JD Vance, keep the same energy. I don't. He will. I doubt he will. What? Are we surprised?
JD
Of
man
course
today,
not.
Francesca. Maybe I've missed something. I've been busy.
If you did violent acts and whatever, yeah, no, there's. I mean, JD, does JD even? Who's he? Does he even have like a role here? No, it's funny because MAGA went crazy when he said that they would pardon only nonviolent actors. And let's be honest, like the right loves to talk about Ashley Babbitt. I think we should talk about Ashley Babbitt.
Let's do it.
There's no reason that Ashley Babbitt should be dead right now. And the reason she is because of Donald Trump. It's because of the lies, and not just him, that the entire party and that the media landscape and the right-wing news fed to someone like Ashley Babbitt for months and months and months, that yes, their country had been taken over in a false election that was rigged, and she was just doing her patriotic duty. And of course, when she was trying to storm a building, a Capitol Police officer did what officers do often. And yes, fired their weapon. And so, of course, she should be alive right now. But the blood is on the Republican Party's hands. I'm sorry, man. The people who hired buses to come from all over the country to descend on the Capitol that day. And Waj, they said, they were like, "I'm ready. Are you? What are you going to do? We're not going to stop." This was tweeted out. It was put out on Facebook. The goal was violence.
That's right.
They didn't know what was going to happen next.
And I want to juxtapose the hypocrisy, and I think it's important because everything is projection with Republicans, and every attack is basically a confession. Pondering politics
Yes.
has comment here. Imagine the MAGA outrage if President Biden had pardoned a single violent BLM protester. You're not tough on crime. Oh my God, you don't care about law and order. And now they've released.
Yeah, the BLM, like I already just saw it on Piers Morgan. The inconsistency for BLM and these pardons is wild. But am I surprised? Of course not. Of course, I'm not surprised that there's
1,600 traitors.
inconsistencies.
People, some of them, like Enrico Tarrio, the one of the leaders of the Proud Boys, who literally was there for sedition. Stuart Rhodes, the dude with the one eyeball on the iPad.
Oh my God.
Leader of the Oath Keepers, right? These are right-wing militia.
I forgot about him. You know when you forget about someone and then you remember that guy exists?
Did the vomit come out in your throat right there?
He's terrifying. Speaking of
Sedition.
Speaking of Nazis, like these are like legitimate white nationalists who, by the way, got a lot of PPP loans, which still really annoys me. Do you know militias got PPP loans under Donald Trump? So
Well, Brett Favre did, and Tom Brady did, and militias did. But this is, just think about why this is so, teasing this out.
Yeah.
Why this is so terrible, right? First of all, you have all these traitors out. They weren't held accountable. But not only are they out now, and not only most of them still, from what we know, both radicalized and believe the big lie, but now they know Donald has my back.
Yep.
I did the leader's bidding, and he helped me. It's free reign. This is our town again. This reminds me of America. I want to say America during segregation, but let's be honest, even right now, where Black people, if they were, God forbid, out in some places after sundown, they could get lynched. It was,
Yeah.
these are our parts. And if you're in Georgia and a Black man, I don't know, jogging your neighborhood, you could get lynched. So now what they're saying is, for me, this is Donald Trump's red shirts, right? Mussolini had his black shirts. Hitler had his brown shirts. If I'm them, I'm like, I can do anything for the next 4 years. I can commit violence with impunity. These are my woods now. I can beat you up. And I know that this guy that
Yep.
I committed an insurrection for, he has my back. I even took a fire extinguisher and hit a police officer and nothing happened to me. What are you going to do to me, Lib? I own you. That's my fear.
we're gonna start a show on Zateo. That's what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be fire. And look, there's gonna be points of levity. So I did want to introduce our next segment, which we're gonna make a recurring thing here, because like I said, Donald Trump is the alpha male, and he has made every single member of the GOP his little boy, his kid, his beta male. And everyone lines up to kiss the ring. They deal with the smell. But there are some that really bend over backwards to get to humiliate themselves. They reach new depths of humiliation, Waj. And this was something that you created. And I let's just set it up here. This is our reek of the week.
Byron Donalds.
Byron Donalds. No,
Is
who is Reek? Really quickly before we get into Byron Donalds.
Right. So for those who don't follow pop culture, Reek is a character from Game of Thrones. He's a man who, starts off with nobility.
I am watching Game of Thrones. I'm only on episode 6, so I have to skip it because I don't want to get spoiled.
I had to go Byron Donalds. And the reason I had to go for Byron Donalds is because of this clip.
It's not just going to be that. I mean, when Americans see deportations or repatriations happen, they're going to be like, thank you. When they see the border closed, they're going to say, this is what I voted for. When they see peace starting to break out again around the world, they're going to be like, this is the stability that we were asking for. Daddy's back. So and that's what you're going to see.
Byron Donalds, didn't he want a cabinet position at some point?
Yeah, but right now, out of the 100 cabinet positions of Donald Trump's administration, no Tim Scott, no Byron Donalds. There's only one Black person out of 100 people.
I don't care too much about that, but calling Donald Trump daddy is crazy. All right.
1% Black, 87% white,
It's
Five-
Diddy, isn't it?
yeah,
Is it Diddy? I feel like it's Diddy.
5%.
He's not
5% Latino,
revealing
7%
those
Asian,
Epstein
and also a
files.
fact correction, because even though we give informed opinions, we want to give you correct facts. I might have said that Enrico Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, was there on January 6th. He wasn't in DC, but he was convicted with the longest sentence of all, 20.
This is interesting. I mean, I don't know. This is basically the same as like a right-wing podcast for like the right. It's just the left wing. A lot of it's gonna be heavily skewed left. I don't know if I'm gonna get much nuanced opinions about anything, but shout out. I mean, they're just playing fire with fire. I mean, I only can be so mad at it at this point. But if you need a nuanced voice, that's why I'm here. I'm that nuanced voice that will bring everybody together. Even though I love to play video games while I'm talking, because I have a terrible attention span. So shout out, man. Shout out. All right. Well, I did a little bit of reactions there. I'm probably gonna end it now. Yeah, I'm gonna end it now. Appreciate everybody tuned in.